may be the biggest thing that's ever happened.
Wherever there is injustice, you will find us. Wherever there is suffering, we'll be there. Wherever liberty is threatened, you will find
The three AmiVO's. Dave McRae, Garnet Williams, Mike Pongracz. Separately, they are humble Canadian voiceover superstars. Together, they are the three AmiVO's.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go.
And now, the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour VOdcast.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
What about Tom Waits?
What I really don't feel is the goals of my life.
That guy is good.
Pretty back there, and love is all day. Arms around the free one.
That's it. That's it. We got Tom Waits on the program today.
Anyway,
We're back.
We're back.
And we're back.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, welcome back. It is the three AmiVO's. Once again, the AmiVO's Super Fantastic Happy Hour Vodcast.
The AmiVO's and Friends.
AmiVO's and Friends. See, it's been so long, but I never remember.
we
Now
have
you know.
friends.
We didn't.
We do.
I gave
know,
up a
6
long time.
No
months.
matter what everybody keeps
I
saying
know.
about us, we have friends.
Apparently so.
I'm surprised you guys renewed my contract, to be honest.
It was this. You were that close to the door, McRae.
Because
I
it's
know.
been 6 months, let's get everybody back online here. To my left, AmiVO Dave McRae.
Hello, everybody.
In front of me, AmiVO Garnet Williams.
It's an honor just to be nominated.
It always
Which
is.
you always are.
You go, of course. Without you, we'll get into that because you're an award winner now.
I am.
You're an
You
award
are.
winner.
What
am.
happened?
Oh,
We'll get to that. He just
Okay.
said we'll get to that.
I'm
The
a
porn
AmiVO
panned out.
Steve Hirsch on line 2.
like to
I'm
say-
AmiVO Mike Pongracz following the porn comment. And welcome to the program. Yes, AmiVO Garnet, who also, in addition to being a stellar voice actor, is also an award-winning producer now.
Yes.
I mean, you've been an award-winning producer
All my life,
in
really.
the hearts in the hearts and minds of those that know you
Of
and have worked
millions
with
of
you.
people around-
But
Thank
you're
you.
you're an
Around the world.
officially you have a trophy.
Yes.
A little award.
Here it is,
little
right
glass
here.
sculpture.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Crystal Awards.
It's a Crystal Award.
It's actually a little something
yes.
that they do on a yearly basis here in Canada, and radio station and ad agencies from all across the country come to Toronto for Canadian Music Week, and they have the Crystal Awards during the festivities. And this year I won an award for my production skills.
awesome.
Well, congratulations.
you.
Insert
Round of
applause now.
Round of
Thank you very
applause
much.
for AmiVO Garnet.
This is unbelievable.
And it's legit stuff because you're
Oh,
going
yeah,
up against
absolutely.
radio stations as well as ad agencies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very cool. Now, did you get to go down to Toronto to accept awards?
I did not. Unfortunately, I was busy. I had sessions and family stuff and
look at
whatnot.
you.
But no.
So you
he
mailed it
doesn't
in.
want the
That's all
glory.
right.
He
No, he
doesn't
doesn't.
want the
He doesn't.
glory.
It's not about that.
No.
It's about the work.
It's not about the awards,
No, it's not.
but that's okay.
See, it's 6 months and some things still haven't changed. It really hasn't. Interesting though, but congratulations. That's very cool.
Yeah.
See, what Dave's
Garnet,
referring to...
congratulations.
Thank you very much, both of you boys. But what Dave's referring to, is I'm not including a lot of things, is he keeps making a big deal how we go off to FAFCON and he hasn't been able to join us yet for various reasons.
But I am hoping that there will be something that the three of
Yeah,
us
some
can
sort
all
of
do
a
together.
some sort of a,
Well, I'm
a
soon.
conference or get. Well, we almost did a couple of weeks back. We were at my old alma mater, which is Humber College. We were invited to talk to the the graduates, and we almost all three of us got together at Humber College.
At Humber College.
But Dave unfortunately had some issues as he was driving. I'm almost there, and then all of a sudden. Guys, I'm not going to be able to make it.
What happened is that I am literally right where the 401, and for those of you who don't live in this area are not going to know what I'm talking about, but these three guys will. Right where the 401 sort of meets the 427 north.
Describing the highway system is just riveting for
It's
our
riveting
listeners
right now. So
boys.
anyway,
This is like that SNL sketch, The Californians.
so I'm there and I get a text.
That's good.
That's
Thank
very
you.
good.
Put that on your demo.
It's there. I get a text from Leah, and she says the fire department is here.
By the way, Dave, your place is burning right now.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God. No, what happened is she could smell gas. But she couldn't. Which
was weird because you'd left.
She could smell fuel, I should say, maybe. And she couldn't identify where it was coming from because I had left. But The fire department was there, and they needed to get into my studio because they couldn't get in, and they were going to have to break down the door.
That's not good.
Which isn't good because I had locked the door to the studio. And it turned out it was actually something to do with the neighbors.
Oh, okay.
And we were
Curse
sort of
them.
Yes. So everything was okay, but
Well, so clearly, I mean,
but it was another instance of where we were going to do something as the three of us.
Yes.
And once again, Dave Caspered and
no, the universe stepped in and said, "You don't belong."
So before we got into that, I was actually trying to segue, and you both stepped on it. FAFCON was something that you were not able to join us at.
That is correct.
And at,
for gas.
At our first FAFCON and our second FAFCON, Michael and I were lucky enough to meet just a phenomenal, friendly fella in the voiceover industry.
Yes,
that was quite the alliteration. Phenomenal, friendly fella.
And he's our guest today.
Yes. And who is?
That's that.
Just,
It's
we
not
were
an
waiting
awkward
for
pause.
No, it's the suspense.
tension, the suspense.
Yeah, like we want people. We're not fooling around here.
No.
It's not
We're going all the way deep into the heart of Texas
Yes.
to chat with an incredible guy.
Okay.
He's lived quite the life, and I'm very, very happy that we are going to have the one and only. He's an enigma.
Wrapped in a riddle.
Wrapped in a riddle.
Wrapped in an enchilada.
He is an incredibly generous guy with his time and his talent and his knowledge and treasure. And he's joining us today. After this break, we go all the way to Texas to chat with. That was awful.
That was bad. Your Tom Waits.
Mr. Cliff Zellman, everybody, is the guest on the
Thank you.
AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour podcast. Right after this.
The three AmiVO's.
Warning.
We'll be right back.
Changing the voiceover industry one toque at a time.
We're gonna take a little break, but we'll be back in a while, so don't nobody go nowhere.
And now.
And now it's time for another Three AmiVO's fun fact.
Hey everyone, it's AmiVO Garnet here. You know, it's no secret that I love animation voice actors. Like most of us, I've been a fan of cartoons since I was a kid, but I also remember having an appreciation for the voice actors on my favorite cartoons. The star of my childhood was Michael Bell. You probably know who he is. He did live action and animation. My wife knew who he was from a couple of episodes of Three's Company, but for me, he was the king of cartoons as a kid. The guy was in everything, and I remember I would make note that the Michael Bell who voiced Grouchy Smurf and some other Smurfs was also the voice of Duke on G.I. Joe, All-Star on Snorks, Prowl on Transformers, and the list goes on and on. So I knew this guy did the shows I watched, but how could I find out all the stuff he did? Well, it took a while, but then the internet came along, and sites like IMDb and Wikipedia made it really easy to see what your favorite voice actor has done or is doing. I still love reading the credits of movies and shows to see who did what voice, and it's a hobby I share with my kids. I remember how proud I was watching Despicable Me with my daughter Alexis. She pointed out that the voice of the carnival barker was also the voice of Fix-It Felix from Wreck-It Ralph. She was right. It was Jack McRae, by the way. If you have an all-time favorite animation voice actor, drop us a line here at the show. I'd love to hear it, and I won't judge. You're never too old to love cartoons. Seriously, they're awesome.
From the land where it's perfectly okay to say nice beaver. The Three AmiVO's.
And we're back!
There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Welcome back to the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour VOdcast. We are very excited to have on, as we discussed before the break, a very wonderful guy who is, as we said, generous not only of his time, but also of his knowledge. And he's got some amazing stories. And we are very excited to have the one, the only, the enigmatic Cliff Zellman joins the program.
Yay! Is he here yet? No, here he is.
No, that's you.
Hey, wow, what an intro! Oh my gosh, I got to pull out my notebook of all those stories. Actually, what I'll do, I'll just scroll my Facebook page and rehash, what I did 2 weeks ago. That was good. A month ago, that was good.
You are one of the busiest guys that I know. Cliff posted a screenshot
Of his schedule
from last week. Holy crap, dude!
I was one spot away The next spot was the straw. I don't straw in the 80s. I mean, like the camel straw. And I talked to my boss, and he said, "Good Lord, you know." I said, "Look, man," I said, "we cannot keep doing this." It was crazy.
When you get that busy, how do you manage that? How do you allocate your time for that amount of work that you're doing?
I'll tell you, I'm really lucky because I am 30 footsteps away from my entire world. So, you know, like most of us, we've got our gear in our home. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll make breakfast for the kid, take her to school, and I come back. That's it. I'm sitting here. I've got until I fall asleep at 1 or 2 in the morning. What does that mean? No life, actually.
I got the guided camera tour yesterday of the Zellman Cave, if you will.
Ah, the Zellman Cave.
And I call it this because he is also, aside from being like phenomenal in the work, in play, I would like to play with Cliff because he's got a collection of Batmobiles.
What?
Wow.
And monkey mobiles.
And monkey mobiles. The monkey mobile as well from the 60s. But,
No.
But the die-cast Batmobiles from, the 66, like, oh, they were sweet.
It's got to be the Adam West series, you know, the 66.
It's the only one.
Right.
So you've got cool toys, and I mean, for people that do know you, they know that you've got an amazing backstory. For the people that don't know you, you came up in the music business during what many would say was probably one of the most exciting times. Plus, you were in L.A. during that period.
Well, I was born in L.A., so it didn't seem like... Actually, that's not true. I would be driving in my car and just looking out the window and saying, you know what, thank God I'm here. How wonderful it is to be driving in the Hollywood Hills, or just and really not taking it for granted. But yeah, you're right. I mean, from 1975 to the end of the 80s, for what we all remember was there were budgets, there were a lot of people involved. It was fun, and it was a magical time.
Well,
it was fun because it was exclusive.
It's interesting that you say that, and
Yes.
I want to touch back on that in a little bit.
Yes.
But I will say that in every person's life, there is a riff or two that will change your life.
You're going somewhere
I'm going
with this,
somewhere.
right?
Okay, for me, it was do 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 do. Stairway to Heaven.
That was Stairway to Heaven.
Cliff, I'm a voice actor, not a musician.
I thought it was like a Tom and Jerry cartoon background.
I thought it was today's special.
Again, we'll grant you some leniency,
Okay.
Mr. Pongracz, because I assume you're going
I'm
somewhere
going
with
somewhere
this.
with this. That 8 minutes I realized would give me the opportunity to make out with girls.
Wow.
But it was also the humbling part of that song
Yes.
is you either made out for 8 minutes
Wait,
or you
you-
got stuck for 8 minutes with somebody that you did not want to dance
Okay,
with.
so you were the guy that got to make out for 8 minutes.
So sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad.
Okay, because I was the guy that got stuck with somebody
Okay.
I didn't want to get me.
Where I'm going with this, in an end around,
Yes.
is that Cliff,
Yes.
when Cliff worked, was it Davlin that you were at?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Okay.
Now I see where you're
See,
going with
now we're going with this.
Okay.
Cliff heard a riff
Mm-hmm.
as he was working as the studio assistant. Is that?
I was about as low as you get, but with dignity.
Okay. And Cliff, what was that riff that you heard as you were on the other side of the wall?
Down.
I think I actually know this. I can't believe it.
That would be Toto. Hold the
That
line.
Oh, yeah.
he hold the
the
line.
line.
Okay. Okay.
So this riff,
Yes.
I've heard you say this story, tell this story, and I've also seen it written, is one of those things that made you go, I want to do this really, really bad.
I was in the tape library doing inventory of cassettes and 2-inch tapes and 1/4-inch tapes and whatnot. And the wall on the other side was his amplifier, Steve Lukather's amplifiers. And it was all quiet because you don't hear what's going on in the control room. You know, I was more in the studio side. And I heard this coming out of the amp. I put my ear to the wall, and it was amazing. And I said, oh my God, I'm witnessing history. I had nothing to do with it, other than I was counting the tape that they were going to be recording on in maybe a week and a half or 2. But yeah, talking about life-changing licks, man. Now I see where you're going.
See,
There.
that's it. There's method to my madness.
Yes, I was ready to sing da 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 da.
A little Jethro Tull.
There you go.
So you worked your way up from just sweeping the floors. You went to Davlin. You then went to Fidelity.
Fidelity Studios for 13, 14 years.
Now, is that where you really started to get behind the boards and
Yeah,
really
I was
work
an
your magic?
assistant engineer right through the front door. And that pretty much did everything because a lot of the engineers, let the assistants do stuff. That was about maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years. And the engineers that were there moved on, started their own studio. And I was one of the elder second engineers is what they were called. So I stepped up to the chief engineer for, 8, 9, 10, 11 years. And all that really meant is that anytime a band or a project came in that didn't have their own engineer, I would be assigned to it.
Okay.
There were times when bands would bring in their own engineers, and I would work doing other things. We had a publishing company that I was involved in. It was a great position because, I got to work with the absolute best of the best and some of the worst of the worst. So
it's funny you say that because, the internet is a wonderful place. Mm-hmm. You can find many things about people on the internet just by that googly thing.
Yes.
And something I did not know about Cliff Zellman, which...
I wish I knew that more people knew about that little googly thing.
The interwebs, I think it's going to be big someday. Cliff Zellman, you were... I forget what the title was, but you worked on the soundtrack to a movie that from my childhood, my teenage years, was very, very important. And it starred a very young Josh Brolin, and it was all about skateboarding called Thrasher.
Oh my gosh, the greatest ever.
Jeez.
I recorded the score.
You recorded the score? Okay.
All the music when people were running around, jumping, going down there, anytime it wasn't a song.
That's and that was 80s synths and lots of
electric guitar player, a one synth keyboard player. We had a bass player direct, and we had a drummer playing syndrums. Or what were they? They were They were what were the octagon?
Oh, not. I want to say
very popular back in the day.
Roger Taylor from Duran Duran used to play them.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean.
I'm so embarrassed. Anyway, electronic drum set. The producer of the movie walks in and gives us a pep talk. Now, when you look around, you see a motley crew. You see a guitar, a bass direct, one synthesizer, and a set of electric drums. Producer walks in, gives us a pep talk, and he says he wants this movie and this soundtrack to be West Side Story on skates. Now, one of the greatest soundtracks of the 20th century, West Side Story. I look around, we've got electric drums. It ain't gonna sound like West Side, but it was a lot of fun. It was we were young.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So how did we get from music to commercial production?
Oh my gosh! Anybody that knows me, they're gonna say, "Oh God, Cliff, don't tell the story."
Oh come on!
Right around 1990, I left Fidelity because I just didn't want to do rock and roll anymore, and I was tired of doing bass overdubs, in the wee hours of the morning and all that. So I started to hook up with Deke and Saban and Disney, and I was doing fader throwing.
For those that aren't technically inclined, fader throwing. So when the actor would speak, you would pot them up or bring their fader up and bring everybody else down. Is that?
Would slam that one fader they were talking all the way to the top because I had the preamp, which was up above, set at a good level when that fader was all the way up. And, I'm not flooring it or anything.
Okay.
Controlling the gain by the secondary stage, the preamp or the primary. And when one actor would start talking, that fader would be thrown up. And it would have to wait until the next actor started talking before you pot it down because the first actor might have some brilliant ad lib, so you had to, make sure you don't throw the fader down as something brilliant was said that wasn't on the script.
This was 90 to 95. So who would have been in the studio with you at that point? Was that like Townsend Coleman?
Townsend Coleman, Jim, Pat,
Paulson
would have been there.
Paulson would be there. Jaleel White was in there.
Urkel.
Gosh, there was. Oh, he was brilliant. So far, the voice of Sonic.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was the one that came up with the "I'm waiting" because of me, or if that was actually in the script. But that actually turned into a Sonic tagline. And what was fun for me is I was watching the director's work and being what I thought at least was very empathetic with the voice talent and seeing what direction worked, what didn't, what got the light bulb going over the actors' heads. the interaction between the director and the voice talent, and soaked that in and just loved it. So there was an earthquake in 94. My house was in really bad shape where I was living. We moved to Dallas. My brother married a girl from Dallas 8 years before. We came to visit and were looking for houses in the valley, San Fernando Valley. They were incredibly expensive. So we saw a beautiful house here in Dallas for what I thought actually was the down payment, but that was actually the price of the house. I got an offer to go overseas for a month. The second month we were here, my wife was not amused. I left her with a 2-year-old baby in a city she, knew nothing about for a month and a half. Came back and hooked up with Radio Vision, and the rest is history. And Radio Vision is 95% automotive, and turnaround is incredible. I think I'm on my 12th or 13th spot today.
That's amazing. Wow.
Some I voice, most of them I sing if I absolutely have to.
You're a singer too, are you?
Well, I say, look, it's going to sound like Alice Cooper. If you're into Alice Cooper, then definitely I will sing your jingle.
What's the price? It's $18,000.
See, that's you're where you need to be, baby.
So now, Radio Vision, for those that don't know, is it the second largest automotive?
Oh gosh, no. But as far as volume goes, it's probably one of the top 5.
Yeah. It's an amazing company.
It's
with lots of good people.
We only have maybe 35 employees. I mean, some ad agencies have hundreds.
Yeah.
So when you say largest, kind of got to be careful. We really our spotlight is really his turnaround, and really it's all up to the voice talents. I got to put a huge thank you to those guys and gals, because when Radio Vision ships out a script, anybody that's ever been involved with Radio Vision know that our turnaround is pretty quick. I rely on my voice talent. They're so important. Try to keep a zero balance as much as possible with everybody. But I'll tell you that the real secret is the tools, you guys.
Yeah.
I've got an awesome tool chest here that would take me 6 to 8 times longer if I didn't have what I've got.
Mentioning your gear, what are you running in your home studio right now?
I have got a Pro Tools, and I'm running an HDIO with a Mac Pro, and I've got a couple of dual monitors. I've got Focal monitors, Focal headphones. I got a slew of microphones. I got really fast internet. I've got IPDTL, Source Connect. I used to have ISDN, but it's just not worth it to me anymore. My Zephyr's sitting there cursing at me every time I look at it. Electricity in 5 years. I've got a online music library. I've got 20 years of sound effects. I've got stripes of sound effects that I can pull in for specific genres of spots. Already pre-mixed sound effects with already compressed with nice reverbs and good placement. Just drop them in. Boom, there you go. And they sound wonderful. They're custom. Every spot's custom made, so to speak.
But coming from an engineer's perspective, most voice talent now, because we've talked about technology, makes it easy for anybody now to work out of their home studio. Back in the days, you had to go to a professional studio where everything was laid out, all the gear was there. You just had to show up and bring your talent. Now you've got, endless possibilities working from home. What is the biggest mistake that most voice talent, especially new voice talent, make when it comes to their home studios?
Wow.
Sorry, that's a big grapefruit there with a huge amount of answers.
I don't know if it's really, if you can consider really any of it a mistake as really an oversight.
Okay, let's call it an oversight.
One of the big mistakes is jumping in before you're ready. One of the big mistakes is not having a very well-treated room, not understanding what you're doing, the copy, rushing in, not really taking the time to, for especially talking about auditioning, to actually record, stop, take a break, come back, listen back to what you did, read along to what you did, conduct along to what you did, see if, the new you has any different feelings about the read than the person that read 5 minutes ago. Is it a mistake to spend a ton of money and not really be qualified to spend that amount of money or really need all that. I don't know. It depends on how much money you got. So, you know,
I've just got a couple thousand burning in my pocket.
Yeah, if you do, you know, some guys got a lot of money, and why not? You know, go buy a bitchin' microphone.
What's more important in the grand scheme of things? If you're working or putting together a home setup, is it the room or is it the gear?
Absolutely, number one, the environment that you're recording in.
Cliff, by the way, is if you want to get Cliff's backup, just tell him that you're working in a hotel room and you made a pillow fort to record.
You know, you do what you got to do.
Cliff goes from Cliff Zellman into the Incredible Hulk.
Oh,
Hulk smash! No, do not.
Okay, well, that's interesting, though. I mean, that's an interesting tidbit there. Now, Cliff, tell us why you would turn into the Incredible Hulk if somebody said, "Yeah, I'm just in my hotel room right now, and I've got a pillow fort going up."
That actually happened. Somebody posted pictures on the internet, on Facebook, about the pillow fort that they just built, and I was the one that got the audio.
Now, I ask because I see a lot of people doing this, so this is good, and there's probably some people that are listening to this.
You do what you got to do. Now, a lot of people would say that, oh, Cliff's going to talk all about the chaotic eyeball. Now, I love the eyeball, but we're still talking about a live room and a live microphone. And the one thing that I found out, and this is just us talking, right?
Yeah.
The cheaper your microphone, the better the eyeball is.
Interesting.
You've got a killer microphone. The eyeball can have interesting effects upon it that you might not expect. But if you take an Audio-Technica 2020 and shove an eyeball around it, it's amazing. And it'll cut down the room ambience and you know, I was kidding, and you know, I kid around like that. Of course. And say that I get all uppity, but you know, you do what you got to do. But
but it's good for people to know this stuff, though.
You're going to travel a lot. I think it's a good investment.
Is it important, though, as the talent, to make sure that you keep that in mind, that the people that you're sending this to, you want to be able to have that relationship with your engineer, don't you? Like
I would think so. You know, the relationship between the engineer and the voice talent is a sacred one, and the engineer can really determine who gets hired, especially when you know, there's board meetings or they have production meetings and everybody's sitting around talking. What do you think of this guy? Well, the engineer could say, you know, he'd think in his mind, oh, a lot of clicks, a lot of pops, a lot of hum, a lot of buzz. It's 3 times the amount of work. I'm going to be there till 8 o'clock. I'm not going to be able to go have beer and throw darts with my buddies. You know what? Let's go with Bill. You know, so
right.
I usually get, you know, pretty much up there with the voice talent and say, hey, look, you know, what can I do to help? Let's try a couple things. George is awesome. You know, there's so many resources. If your engineer tells you that your audio sucks, definitely do something.
Does it surprise you though, Cliff?
George Whittam, by the way, is who Cliff was referencing.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course.
And Dan Leonard and Dan Friedman and Roy and the whole group.
There's many people on Facebook groups that would be willing to point you in the right direction as far as getting your space
Absolutely. But does it surprise you at all that the voice talent would send you this kind of audio?
Let's say, let's judge audio on a scale of 0 to 100.
Okay.
I rarely get anything below 50.
Now, I would
even
that,
60 is pretty.
I would assume that your 50 is probably pretty. It would be
it's
other
okay.
people's 70 or 80.
I got the tools. I understand. I'm a realist. You know, I got gates. I got processors. I got multi-band compression. I got all that stuff.
I thought he said babes for a minute.
When
He's got those too.
He's got babes too.
He's got babes
He's got
too.
a babe.
When I get 95 to 100 audio, it's awesome.
Right.
I mean, it's so much fun. It's fun for me. Most of the stuff that I get, I would want it to be better.
Okay.
But, you know, because of the industry, voice talent are now expected to be audio engineers. So,
right.
You know, that's a whole nother 4 hours, and I don't think we have enough beer in front of us to cover that one.
But it's funny that you bring that up, because I was going to say, I mean, what can talent do on sort of a real base level? What can they do outside of, you know, room treatment? What can they do to make sure that their audio is acceptable, or at least not going to drive the engineer on the other end to pull
it's
their
got to be
hair
better than acceptable, because nowadays when we send out auditions, I probably I know I speak for myself, but when I send out auditions, I know that the product is being produced at the voice talent's home. So that's what I'm getting. That's their product. The read is their product. The audio quality is their product. The proper delivery, the proper labeling on the file is their product. So all of that stuff now plays into effect when a decision is made. So if the audio quality is not that good, I'm saying, okay, now the product that I'm buying is not as good as it could be, or is not as good as what it should be. Not only just the performance. Back in the day when you walked into a $500,000, $1 million recording studio, it was all about the performance because the technology was not an issue. So what do you got to do? Learn as much as you absolutely can. I forgot who it was. One of us posted something on Facebook and said, maybe it was Christy, I'm not sure. If you could have one piece of advice, if you could tell a newbie one thing, what would it be? And everybody wrote a bunch of things, and I simply wrote, learn audio, because that is your product. And if it means staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning and reading stuff that you don't understand the first time you read it, maybe you will the second.
Yeah.
And there's so much information that's there now that back in the day, we talked earlier about exclusivity in the old days. The voiceover business, much like the acting business, was very exclusive. I always joke that it's like a speakeasy. Back in the day, you had to know where the club was down off of Sunset Boulevard.
You had to know people who knew where
the secret knock.
Yeah.
Now anybody and their mother can go to Sweetwater or to any online store and buy a microphone and a preamp. And
I wouldn't go with my mother.
Okay, maybe not. but I mean that exclusivity is something that we don't have anymore. And anybody can literally find anything on the internet.
Yeah.
So there's so many areas where you can learn stuff like audio, where you can learn what compression is, what EQing is.
Oh, there's great tutorials on YouTube. Look for the names look for the names that you recognize. Back in the day, we had a guy named, I think his name was John Runstein, and he wrote a book called The Modern Recording Audio Engineer Handbook or something like that. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only book. You bought it at Hollywood Technical Bookstore, surrounded by guys with white shirts and pants up to their up past their stomach. And but now, I mean, there's so much. But really, you know what? It's up to the individual, and it's up to how much they're willing to how late they're willing to stay up and read and talk and don't ask for things for free, and don't necessarily just go all over Facebook and social media saying, how do I do this? How do I do that? Right. Go to Gearsluts, GearSlutz, baby.
I've spent time there.
Got lots of answers there.
I think I went to the wrong one.
And you'll find the sites you trust, and there's plenty of information. But really, audio is really, really important, coming from an audio guy, of course.
Now another sort of, when we go with the technology being easy access, plugins are something that can be your friend or can be an awful enemy to you.
Plugins is electronic versions of hardware. So, if somebody that doesn't understand hardware when they walk into a recording studio, back in the day when they'd had the big walls of all the cool little dials and buttons and meters and stuff, and if it didn't mean anything then, it won't mean anything now, but like we did back then, we learned what it all was. A good thing to do is go into Guitar Center if there's one near you, and ask for one sheets, and they'll give you information on just about every piece of gear that they have. But plugins should be used by somebody that knows how to use them.
As an audio engineer, you want the raw file. You want the raw audio. So you can manipulate the audio as seen fit if you choose to. How many people ignore that and send you a compressed file trying to hide maybe the poor quality of their
Let's look at
audio?
it the other way.
Okay.
How many people process their audio to accentuate their read or to enhance audio quality?
I remember Cliff said at FAFCon.
That's what I'm talking about.
He doesn't care if you process.
Yes.
He just doesn't want to hear it.
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
Right. Gotcha.
I don't care what you do to your audio.
Right.
As long as I don't hear it. I don't hear a gate pumping. I don't hear compression pumping. I don't hear room tone very slight and then total silence and then back.
Gotcha.
That's the professional. Some of the guys that I work with every single day, they process the crap out of their audio.
Yeah.
And it just flies out of my speaker. I have to maybe bring it down a dB or two, which is really not bad. And that's usually the only thing that I do.
But that goes back to what you were saying before about knowing audio. Because if you don't know audio, then how are you going to be able to compress something and know that, I can send this and it's it's all right.
And
I'm not going to
everybody
make
has-
Cliff angry.
Yeah, and not everybody has an ear.
No, that's
people that
right.
are musicians or have a musical background.
Yeah.
You can hear, like if you tweak audio or if you manipulate audio,
Yep.
you can hear if it sounds good or if it's bad.
That's
if
right.
you have a musical background.
That's
not
right.
everybody does.
No, that's true.
So-
And 9 times out of 10, Cliff's right. People are manipulating the audio because they're trying to hide something, not necessarily enhance something.
Or no, not necessarily even hide something. Give a little compression, give a little boost, be about a dB and a half above the rest.
Right, but make your read maybe sound better than what it possibly could be.
No.
Okay.
Enhance the read. Pull out 150 hertz a dB. Get rid of some of the natural mud.
Right.
Make your audio a little more transparent. You can't hide a performance, unless you full body, costume.
Right. No, I mean, if it's bad, it's bad. No matter if you
it's a
compress
bad
it or not,
performance.
it's bad. Yeah,
performance,
exactly.
I wanted to touch on as well, because we've been talking about studio stuff, which, of course, people go to Cliff and have these questions. But I mentioned FAFCon, and that's where I actually met Cliff. And, I attended the seminar that you did on car spots and breaking down the scripts and stuff like that, which was great. I learned a lot that I didn't know about the commercial industry as far as automotive goes. But it was after everybody else, we were talking earlier, has dinner and is all, in the lounge, getting pissed and telling stories and stuff like this. You look over, and there's Cliff, and he's at this little table with about 6 or 7 people sitting around him. He's got this big stack of scripts, practice scripts that he brought with him, and he's, giving of his time and spending his evening not getting pissed and reveling with, all these other people. He's helping people work on their reads. And he did it, until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually left at one point to go back to his room to get some more scripts and brought them back.
Which is great.
We're out of scripts.
Which is
Hold
great
on, I'll be
because
right back.
that's fantastic, because that one-on-one with somebody with your experience, to have that one-on-one time with you is absolutely fantastic.
Well, for me, I mean, the automotive section or sector of voice,
Yeah.
it's a niche,
Yeah.
but I almost think it's one of those untapped resources. Like I think of it in terms of trades.
Yeah.
You'll always need plumbers, you'll always need electricians.
Right.
There will always be
A car
an
spot.
automotive dealership that needs to move metal.
Right.
Oh, from your mouth to God's ear.
There it is. Good night, everybody.
But it's true, and there will always need to be somebody to tell the listener
Right.
that you need to buy this car
Right now.
at this rate, with these terms, no matter how fast I have to get Cliff to compress them.
Right now.
But that's Cliff's specialty. So those are the scripts that we were working on.
Yeah.
But what I was, aside from the fact that you were so giving of your time, Cliff, and just helping these people work on the reads, it was watching you break down the script and direct the session and just dissect the script.
You could see his
break it down.
experience coming out.
Well, the experience, yeah, but it was the genuine enthusiasm as well he had as he's helping somebody and they're getting it,
Right.
And you could see Cliff feeding off of that, like you're almost there. Now this line, now that's perfect. Now this line, like it was just he's getting more excited than they are about how well
That's great.
they're improving.
That's great. I wish I could have seen that. Send me a video.
People won't sit within 2 feet of me on either side because of my flying pencil. I will poke your eye out. But you know what? I do it for a couple of reasons. One, I really love to do it, and it's really fun for me. And yeah, I really enjoy watching, people get excited about stuff and say, "Oh, wow, I never thought about it that way."
But you're making a difference.
But also, what it shows me is like who's really into it. Who's willing to show up at midnight and do this and be sober, which is prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons I really like to do it is you just never know where the next great voice is going to come from or the great relationship is going to come from.
That's true.
And there's nothing like sitting in a hotel 1,000 miles from your home with 5 people at midnight reading car spots. I mean, it's fun stuff.
It's cathartic. It really is. It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is truly cathartic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's bone chilling.
Now, one other thing I want to touch on, as far as, because we talked briefly about demos. When it comes to demos, what side do you stand on, Cliff, as far as real versus fake? As in using material that has been on the air that is, legitimate. You've done it. It's aired versus stuff that you write or that, you don't want to say fake, but mock up for demo. You Foley your demo.
Well, and if you're new, right? If you're new, inevitably your first demo is going to be fake because you're new, right? But
But there's some people that put together demos, even though they've got a body of work.
Who are experienced,
They'll still put together a demo of stuff that they write to suit what they're going for in the demo, rather than use work that they've actually been paid for.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
So is there a right or a wrong answer, or is it are both acceptable?
Here's what I think. Here's the right answer, in my opinion.
All right.
Number one, it's got to be entertaining, and number two, it's got to be reproducible.
Yeah, that's
the bottom line.
That's it. If you can reproduce what you did on your demo, and you weren't spoon-fed every single line, then your demo is valid, and it's worth something. If you put out a demo that is not you and is more your demo producer's demo, you may be in trouble. So as far as old stuff versus new stuff that was aired versus stuff that was written specifically for a new demo, I think that really depends on the situation. I've been listening to demos for 1,000 years. Back in the days, it was bands. I was listening to band demos with a music publishing company. And the last 20 years, I've been listening to voiceover demos. And it's fun to hear 20 years worth of work and, compressed down to a minute and a half. I think it's more fair and more realistic for the voice talent to do that, obviously, because when you listen to a modern demo, a new demo, a demo that's done specifically for, like done within 3 hours of reading and 5 hours of mixing, there's not a lot of variation, and you're in the same place, same microphone, same environment. Also, back in the day, and I'm talking 20 years ago, the talent wasn't responsible for the quality.
Right.
Because they got what they could get, an air check, a spot that somebody gave them on a 1/4-inch reel at 1 7/8 mono, So that's,
let me get my razor blade now as I'm thinking of that.
Yeah, exactly.
My
your
marker.
editing block and your 1/4-inch tape and your little China marker. And people were listening to performance, and people were listening to recognizability and usability and flexibility and all that. How much did they bring to the mix? How much of their performance is adding to the copy, so on and so on. And it wasn't about the technical, because those listening knew that those that did it weren't responsible for it. So it was the real deal. Nowadays, it's a different story because people are learning a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. There's more access to excellent coaches. Some people have natural ability. Some people need 3, 4, 5, 10 years of coaching. Some need 6 months.
Right.
Some were actors in high school and college and did radio, and now getting into the voiceover business, they don't need as much time to ramp up as somebody who one day says, wow, this sounds like something I really want to do, or this is something I've always wanted to do. So depending upon, the talent of the person, how long they've been in the business, time, putting the time into it and making it reproducible. So I'll go back to my two words, entertaining and reproducible.
Because if you get into a studio, you better be that guy that they hired you for, and you better be able to do it again. Otherwise, you will not be back.
No.
I have been in that position where I hired somebody off of their demo, and the client's sitting next to me, the copywriter sitting next to me, and we're hooked up through ISDN, and okay, let's go. And for over 30 years, I've been your number one. Dude, what happened to the guy that, oh, yeah, okay. So, after about 10 minutes, really, this ain't going to happen. Thank you very much. We got it. Bob, we got it. There's no Bob. We just said it anyway. Bob, you got it? Sounds good? Okay, great. All right, thanks a lot, man.
So just remember, and I think I'm going to coin this phrase. I've used it online now. Photoshop. It's photoshopping your audio. Photoshop.
Oh,
it's photoshopping your audio to make it as awesome as you can, but it's not necessarily the real you.
Yeah, it's, what, it is the real you if you do it yourself. But if you go and pay X amount of dollars and go in for 3 hours and have somebody do it for you, That ain't the real thing.
That ain't the real thing.
You know, if you're sitting and you build your own demo over 3, 4, 5 years of every single time you've got 20 minutes, a half hour, go write something. Go pick up a magazine, read something, record it, produce it, import music, cut it, put it in a directory, you know, and just build your own. And you'll have an hour, 2, 3 hours worth of recordings and spots. See if that stuff's any good, you know, pull from that.
Nice.
And that's real. That's stuff that you did on your own. You know, the stuff you did in the beginning might suck, but, you know, year 1, year 2, you'll hear your improvement. But, you know, to wait for somebody to build a demo for you is certainly an option. But you got to be able to reproduce what you do. That's the number one thing. What are you going to bring to the mix?
Because if you can't reproduce what's on your demo, I mean, it makes you and the demo moot.
Yeah, it's trouble.
One final question.
Yes, sir.
So 26 years, you've been married to your lovely wife, Joanne.
Yes.
You've got 2 beautiful children.
Yes.
Engineers are probably the smartest in the entire chain, in the voiceover chain.
Yes.
What's the secret?
2 words. Yes, dear.
And the microphone.
Technology has allowed me to put anything on pause. I can Apple S anything. I can pause anything. Take out the trash. Take out the trash. Put it on pause. Get up. Take out the trash.
Brilliant.
No nagging. No arguments.
That's it. Yeah. Technology.
That's it.
That's the microphone drop right there.
I want to add one thing.
Okay.
The reason I was married for 26 years is I married my best friend, and I married the best looking woman I've ever seen in my life.
Boom. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
There it is.
If there's an accent,
that's it.
That's picking up the dropped microphone and saying, in case you missed it.
That's right.
I'm dropping it again.
That's right. That's right.
Amazing. She allows me to do everything that I do. She helps me do everything that I do. She encourages me to do everything that I do, and she's incredibly organized.
Well, I can tell you that if you want to do this as a full-time job, being a voiceover, support from your family is probably the biggest thing you can have.
Yes, it is. It is.
So that is very cool. He is. You are a wise man and uber kind, a hell of a guy, and we are so grateful to not only call you a friend, but to also be able to have you as a part of our AmiVO family here. So thank you so much, Cliff Zellman.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, Cliff. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you get a chance,
more to me than you know.
We're going to make it to Texas. I guarantee.
Yes, plenty of room.
I would hope so.
In Texas?
It's a big state.
I was just going to say.
We may not be in the same city as Cliff, but it's a big enough state for us to come down. So
that's exactly it.
And wherever you are, so shall I be.
We are going to wrap this up after the break. It's the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour Vodcast. Back in a second.
The 3 AmiVO's.
Warning.
We'll be right back.
Changing the voiceover industry 1 toque at a time.
We're going to take a little break, but we'll be back in a while, so don't nobody go nowhere.
Here's another 3 AmiVO's iceberg tip.
Hey there, it's AmiVO Mike. Studios. Surprisingly, they can be a scary place for VO talent, especially if you're used to working from the confines of your own home. No need to be afraid, my friend. Remember, everyone there wants you to succeed, from the client to the engineer to the director. So, if you get booked for a gig at a studio, here's a couple of tips. Get to the studio ahead of your call time. No brainer. Be courteous and professional when you arrive. Chances are they'll have scripts ready for you when you get there, but politely ask for scripts if you don't see any. Once you get whisked into the booth, get comfortable and get settled. Good rule of thumb though, don't touch anything. The engineer will come in and adjust things to your liking. After that, open up your ears real wide. Thank you, Dr. Johnny Fever. It's the director's job to get the performance that the client wants out of you, so put your trust in their expertise. If you make a mistake, don't see it as a chance to practice a stand-up comedy routine. Just go again. Remember your improv training. It's never no, it's always yes and. So if you get asked to do something, sure, why not? If you see a room full of people on the other side of the glass, don't tense up. That happens a lot. When I'm in a large session, I rarely make eye contact with anyone in the other room while I'm tracking. I've got headphones, I can hear the directions. Finally, when the select takes are approved and you're given your release, thank them, gather up your stuff, and head out. If it's possible, pop your head in and thank the clients as well as the engineer. Remember, engineers are your best friends. Keep the pleasantries short and simple, and head out the door knowing you've just delivered to another satisfied client. Confidence is good. Cockiness, not so much. Have fun out there.
From the home of William Shatner, maple syrup, and socialized medicine. The 3 AmiVO's.
And we're back!
There we go. Cliff Zellman. Thank you to Cliff Zellman for joining us.
I got to say, I learned quite a bit today.
He's a cool cat, man.
He is.
He really is. He knows his stuff. And I love the fact Cliff sounds like he has loved this business from day one till right now and continues to.
Yeah.
And it
It's
really shows.
next to Joanne.
It's probably because he's had, within sort of the same ballpark, he's had a couple of different jobs.
True.
Right? He's worked on the music side of things. Now he's working on the voiceover side of things. And he sort of found his, this is where I want to be.
And it sounds like that when it got time where he wasn't enjoying it as much, he moved on to something else.
That's exactly it. Keeping things fresh.
But that's what makes Cliff so great when he, when you see him teach or when you see him coach or direct, he's got this enthusiasm that you know is not forced, that he's not fake trying to get you to love this.
Yeah.
He genuinely does. And it brings that out of the talent.
See, and the thing when you go to FAFCON, a lot of people, you get burned out. We all do. Like you're auditioning and you're doing sessions and you're marketing yourself and all this stuff. And sometimes you hit a bit of a wall. And I found that a lot of people go down to FAFCON and within a few seminars or stuff like that, you find yourself getting a little recharged. You're feeding off of other people's energy. You're learning some stuff that you didn't know. And I'm saying it's FAFCON, but I'm sure it happens when you go to WovoCon, when you go to Voice, when you go to any of Annie's VO Peeps things. It's just gathering with others of a like mind.
Happens to me when I go to Walmart.
Well, trying to make a point. I felt working with Cliff and because everybody else there, they're all like other voice actors.
Right.
Cliff's a director.
Right.
And there aren't a lot of those there.
He's also a voice actor, though.
Oh, he is. But I just mean like everybody knows him as, the guy to help you with your read.
Right.
Help you fine tune your read. Help you dissect the script. And that's the shit when you get home you want to actually like work on. And
That's right.
Try that out.
So you take what you've learned there and you adapt it to, adopt it to what you're...
But you can't wait to try. I want to get into a studio as soon as I get home and actually try some of these techniques and see if it improves my read and makes it stand out more. And like, if it does, then let's get some of those improved reads on my demo. And
did you?
Yes, I did.
If you ever see Cliff doing a webinar or if he's at a FAFCON, he's got, it's the list of 20, the 20 rules of doing automotive spots. Wasn't it 20 or is it, no, it's 10, 12, 11. 11. I thought it was 20. Why did I think it was 20?
Because you didn't pay attention.
Of course not.
That's okay. You don't have your glasses on. It's all right.
I took notes.
I told you, I sucked at geography and at math, too.
So did I.
I'm also not
and
very
radio.
good. That's why I quit.
Jury's still out on VO.
You're such
I failed grade 10 math twice.
If you would like to get a hold of us, 3amivos.com is the website. Also on the Twitter at the number 3 AmiVO's, AMIVOS. I still get people calling us the Amigos.
I know.
It's the AmiVO's. And again, the play
Those people are stupid.
They are.
AmiVO's, V-O-S, Vos. Get it?
Voiceovers.
Yes, voiceovers. You can also get us 3amivos at gmail.com. Dave McRae, it's voiceman.net.
No. What?
Voiceman.com with 2 N's.
Voiceman.com
and davemcrae.ca.
That's correct.
All right, I'll get it right eventually.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
Wow.
Sound like
90s
Nickelback.
Wow, nice. What that was that? That's not Creed. What is it?
No,
it's
no, not Tonic.
it's been
one of those donkey
Not
rock
Nickelback.
bands. All the donkey
that's
rock
the
bands.
voicemail with 2
Voicemail with 2
Ns.com
2 Ns.com,
and
yes.
davemcrae.ca.
And WilliamsVoiceovers.com.
Donkey rock.
Donkey Rock.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of,
At home here, drum picture.
have you launched
Donkey rock.
Have you launched your
Your chick's
website?
gonna kill me. No, I have not.
Okay.
Your chick's totally gonna kill me
she
for
is.
that.
WilliamsVoiceovers.com.
Much like Mike's website was for the better part of 2 years, as we mentioned. It's still under construction, but soon.
coming soon.
But it is the old one is still up there, and you can contact me and see all my cool stuff.
Exactly.
WilliamsVoiceovers.com.
There you go. MP Voiceovers.
At WilliamsVO.
There you go. MPVoiceovers.com and at MP Voiceovers on the Twitter. I've been listening to another podcast, and the guy says, on the Twitter?
Oh, wait a second. You just plugged your personal Twitter page. Are we allowed to plug our personal Twitter
We've never
pages?
done that before, but I did it first.
He started
Really?
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what the ball that?
Fuck you guys. I'm in this for myself.
This is turning
Listen,
into
I need the followers, okay?
at
the voice man.
At the voice man.
With 2 N's.
Oh, for the left out Dave McRae to my left. and he's silent. and Amiibo Garnet in front of me.
Ole.
Oh, that's a premature ole. Nice, thank you.
I'm going to see a doctor about that.
I'm Amiibo Mike. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, we wish you a very happy and hearty ole!
We are finished. We are over. It's over.
The AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour Vodcast has been brought to you by the 3 AmiVO's.
Show's over.
It was written, recorded, edited, and produced from deep within the Great White North by Dave McRae, Garnet Williams, and Mike Pongracz.
Are we going bye-bye?
For more AmiVO fun, questions, or comments, check us out online at 3amivos.com, on Twitter at the 3 AmiVO's. Until next